Here's what's coming up on the Cold Popcast.
Male self-improvement sees the person as mutable and the world as immutable. So you need to be the best person possible and you need to accept the rules and the environment that you're in. It's in contrast to female self-improvement, which sees the person as immutable and the world as mutable. So women are taught to accept yourself and try and change the support structures in the society that you're in.
But it doesn't like go into details like, okay, what kind of workout should I do? You know, what kind of diet should I be on? Like you're saying wake up at 5 a.m., but I don't actually have to start work. I do a night shift. What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cold Popcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
And today we're going to be finishing off the last of the three types of red pill guy. This time is going to be the self-improvement guy or the self-improvement content. Pretty much part 2 of the Miami guy archetype. If you didn't check out our last video, by the way, about the pickup artist, that was part 1. This is going to be part 2, finishing it off.
Yeah, so and I also want to welcome our guest, Chris Ralpheisen. You know,
so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Bangkok comedian, Bangkok comic. Used to do comedy with him for quite a while. So thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So basically, to give you an idea about what self-improvement content is, we're going to, let's talk about what the idea of self-improvement is basically the inner process, which focuses on changing one's attitude towards oneself, towards the world, and getting rid of any harmful habits or building new good habits. So essentially, not red pill content, but essentially self-improvement content are basically guys that focus on making content based around those tenets, how to improve yourself as a person.
Yeah, and self-improvement has become like a very diverse niche, I guess. Like there's people that are obviously like in the red pill space, like this is like a red pill series we're doing here. But then there's also people that are focused on self-improvement in other ways, like Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V, as a lot of people know him.
I always thought his name was pronounced Vanderkuik. Is it Vanderchuck?
Vanderkuik.
That was Vanderkuik. I don't know.
Vanderkuck.
Yeah, Vanderkuik.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I know it's Vaynerchuk because I actually like watched a lot of his content for a very long time. And that's how he would pronounce it. So, I mean, I assume it's right. Like, he wouldn't say his own name.
I've never heard him say it. For some reason, Vanderkuik just sounded like...
thought it was fancier than it actually was.
I did. I thought it was. I was like French or something.
Yeah. But his content definitely was what got me out of the trenches. People like him, I mean, even, would you consider Joe Rogan like a self-improvement guy?
Not really. He's kind of like a dude, bro. You know, he likes talking about hunting and chimpanzees.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd say like, like the Fresh and Fit podcast does like a lot of self-improvement stuff. Andrew Tate's whole message was built around like self-improvement.
Yeah.
And if you scroll down, like I would say like non-RP creators are like I said, Gary V. I'd say like Jordan Peterson too, but I would say like Gary V and Jordan Peterson wouldn't necessarily be like, I guess specifically red pill. They're just like basic self-improvement.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson is definitely the opposite of the red pill. I'm pretty sure he hates the red pill, actually.
I think he does. Yeah, he's got serious beef with Andrew Tate, I think.
Yeah.
But Andrew Tate fucked his daughter.
Which is true.
Yeah.
That's actually sad. He probably cried when that happened. Yeah. Just fucked her and left her.
But just to kind of carry it. So there's a whole type of content sphere for self-improvement guys. And if you've been on TikTok or you go to YouTube, aside from like the podcast, you'd see like a whatever podcast. Here's what like a stereotypical self-improvement clip would look like. Lisa, go ahead and click on the first one real quick.
Naysayers, everything I ever did, the thing that they heard out of people's mouth was, that's impossible. That can't be done. Or no.
Cold showers.
So whenever someone said to me, it can't be done, I heard it can be done. When they said no, I heard yes. And when they said it's impossible, I heard it is. Listen to the naysayers.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure like most people are probably seeing like the basic archetype of like a self-improvement post, which is like, the motivational quote in the background, the successful or ripped guy in the video doing something that like, it's phenomenal or just like working out.
Yeah.
And like, the 4 tips to improve. So that's like the basic archetype behind self-improvement. Basically, hey, you can be this guy. Here's like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying something from a movie. And like, here's a list of things you should start doing tomorrow. Even though I know you're not going to.
Like, here's the secret to how you become me.
Yeah. So like, what's your guys' personal opinions on like self-improvement content? If I have to say, I'd say this is probably like the least sleaziest part of the red pill because it's just very generalized information.
Yeah.
But I also think that in some ways it can be diluted or come off very douchey.
I think that self-improvement content, like, for example, this video that we just watched, he's not really doing anything. It seems like he's just flexing.
He did a whole cartwell on one hand, bro. Like, that's phenomenal.
He's just showing off, and it's not like providing any tangible information. It's just like, stop jerking off. Right. It's like, don't jerk off. And, do
Take a cold shower.
It's like, what does the cartwheel have to do with anything? And also, taking cold showers is self-improvement.
Yes. Man. I don't know how, but I have heard like fighters do that for a reason.
Well, no, cold showers are good. I get it, cold showers, but I've learned that cold showers are good for like anxiety or something like that. Like if you have anxiety, you take a cold shower and like it poofs you into reality or something like that.
I think the whole thing with a cold shower is it's unpleasant, and like you have to you have to take a cold shower and do something that's unpleasant and that's good for your soul or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it also
you take cold showers?
Fuck no.
I don't even think that's an option in Thailand.
I also think it's a thing for skincare. I heard like because warm water, like warm air, opens up your pores because it makes you sweat. So like it keeps your pores closed to keep like dirt from getting in there. Especially, so I think like the most vulnerable you are to like dirt is like after a shower. But if you do a cold shower, it's like you're less vulnerable.
I feel like I'm pretty vulnerable to dirt.
Probably.
That seems like me.
Well, you're sweating right now. You're like super vulnerable right now.
Yeah, my pores are fucking just busted open right now. But no, I like self-improvement content. Well, I'd say I used to like self-improvement content. Now I've like transitioned into really liking religious content. But I feel like they're like almost one and the same. Like, watching religious content is just a way to improve myself. But back when I was like an atheist and I didn't really care about much, I did find that self-improvement content kind of pushed me towards opening up and trying new things and trying to advance myself and level up in life.
Okay.
So,
is there a particular reason you didn't like self-improvement content? Or like what pushed you away from?
No, I did like self-improvement content.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I was saying that I did like it. I used to like self-improvement content because it would open up my eyes. Like I love Jordan Peterson. I loved Gary Vee. Both of the people you named, actually. Both of those content creators were like, like Gary Vee's thing was all about failure. Like you got to fail, man. You got to fail at life or else you're never going to learn any lessons. And I really took that to heart. And I learned that through failure, you can actually like win. Like even though like you temporarily fail, you can also you can like open up a door through a failure. Like, okay, well, I failed at this, but now I know what it feels like to fail at that. So it makes it easier for you to approach it the next time. So I just kept following that sort of Gary Vee
like
pattern.
Blueprint.
Yeah, the blueprint. Yeah, I did that for a while, and then I started watching Jordan Peterson, and then Gary Vee kind of fell off. It's like I think self-improvement content, it almost is like not a cycle, but it's like a linear path. Like you can like sort of like once you get all of the Gary Vee you need, you move on to Jordan Peterson.
Okay,
it doesn't have to be those specific people, but it's like people that are like parallels of Gary Vee. You get enough Gary Vee type content where it's just like really energetic and hyped up. Yeah, and then you go for someone like Jordan Peterson that's more like intellectual and thoughtful.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the more red pill guys? Like, well, let me actually ask this: do you guys have anything you want to kind of like talk about in terms of your idea of what self-improvement content does? If you like it, if you've ever been motivated by it.
Hell yeah, dude, I enjoy self-improvement content. I think the most entertaining would be Andrew Tate for sure. He's the most entertaining self-improvement guy. I think it's good if you need it. It's there and it's helpful. But I also think that it's about the intent. So if the person presenting this information is like, if his intent is to truly like be in service to you and like make you better and motivate you, then I think that then it's from a good altitude and a healthy place. But I feel like the dude, like this guy that just did it, he's just trying to get pussy and he's just trying to be cool. And it's like, it's lazy. It's a lot easier to do this than like to make something clever and entertaining. You know what I mean? Just take my shirt off and flex, and maybe I'll do a cool shot and a little cartwheel and shit. It's like, all right, this is. And it worked. He probably got a little bit of pussy from this, and like,
some followers or.
Yeah,
he showed that to some girl, and she was like just moist.
Right.
Actually, speaking of women, though, I got another video that poses a question like the differences between male self-improvement and female self-improvement, because a lot of the guys we named and a lot of the red pill always kind of says like it always says male self-improvement for like from the male perspective. Like the guy in that video, that all seemed like advice for males, like don't jerk off. I don't think women are really worried about that. So let's see what this guy has to say on the difference between like is there a difference between self-improvement for men and women, and then we'll kind of discuss that afterwards.
worldview when it comes to self-improvement. Male self-improvement sees the person as mutable and the world as immutable. So you need to be the best person possible and you need to accept the rules and the environment that you're in. It's in contrast to female self-improvement, which sees the person as immutable and the world as mutable. So women are taught to accept yourself and to try and change the support structures in the society that you're in, which is just fundamentally patronizing. My current worldview.
Okay. You guys understand that? And,
Yeah, it's basically like men can change, but women can't.
yeah.
Women don't have to change themselves; they have to change the
Change
world
the other
around
people.
them.
Yeah.
They got to change the environment to fit.
Do you,
About that.
you guys agree, or you guys any comments about that, or you guys agree with like that idea, that stance?
I think it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I think it almost makes sense because, I think what he's saying makes sense. I don't know if I agree or not because I feel like as a man, it's like there's more like of an impetus on you to actually move mountains, like to shift the world, to shift things within yourself so that then you can move the world. I don't really agree that from the male perspective, it's like, oh, the world is immutable. I think it's just like you have to get to a point where you can actually move things in the world.
Yeah.
But I feel like for women, it's like they generally are more focused on like, oh, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful, and I'm great.
Yeah.
So you need to change. So it's like, to improve your life, you got to change everything around you. And I've seen a lot of that, like from content creators that, push like lots of, frankly, like lefty values type stuff. So
Yeah.
That's a terrible message.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say that I wasn't too sure if he was necessarily making a stance, but I do agree that like the type of male content that for self-improvement is always about how the man needs to change. But I know a lot of females, especially ones that just graduated from college, that kind of go off into the their boss girl like era,
Right.
And they always like their type of self-improvement is very different from men's because a lot of their stuff is about, oh, go like girl, accept who you are. Like it's not about them changing anything. It's them just basically understanding who they are and basically just saying that the world needs to change to fit them. Right. Or it's like, if girl it's like I'll see stuff where they're like, if you need a vacation, take it. It's not like they're gonna tell them like, you need to stop focusing on leisure and work harder. They're just going to be like, find a job that's going to acclimate to how you work. Or like, if your friends can't keep up with you, cut them off. It's not like, accommodate the people around you. They get a lot more feedback of you're great, you're amazing, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
And I do think that's kind of weird because I don't know if that necessarily actually works for them or if it's just they're allowed to exist in like an ego state to where they don't get as many like rough. They don't get like as much rough feedback as a man would in life to where it's like if you're not doing right, you either change or die. I think of women, like the world accommodates to them a lot and they're allowed to like operate like that.
And there's no reason
social roles.
There's no reason to even get into that market because it's like, who's going to be the one to tell women to change? I'm not doing that.
Woman need to change right now.
Right, yeah.
Get your shit together.
It's so much easier to just lean in on the thing that doesn't make any sense and say, oh, you're perfect how you are, and it's them that's the problem. Like, that's money.
It's because you don't want them to stop giving you pussy. Is that it? You don't want to scare them
Bro,
off.
they already stopped.
I think it's a lot about self-improvement is a lot of like it's like you're kind of figuring out how you can get the most respect out of your life basically. Like what can I do to just get the most respect? For a guy, that's how we kind of think. But for a girl respect is like anchored in the physical appearance and like looking good,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it's like physicality for them, like how they look. Like even a professional woman is gonna flaunt her beauty first.
Of course, that's 100%. That's like it'll never hurt to be like a chick can be like, oh, think about like who's the most powerful chick in the world?
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, would you fuck her?
No.
Probably, maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess.
It's not a definite, it's not a hell yeah.
Yeah, you're not like, no one's amped.
Yeah, she like worked hard and did all this shit and like, oh, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
But like, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, but whatever. She's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But for a dude, it's like, ask any chick, would you bang Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
They probably, well, yeah, what do I, he's rich as fuck and he's successful. His work ethic is attractive to me, so that's,
Yeah, no, Hillary Clinton probably has like 300 bodies.
And I would bang Hillary Clinton.
Does she? No way.
No, I mean like dead bodies.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, the original body count.
You know, Hill Dog was getting down like that.
Yeah.
Also, who's this dude? Like, who's this video that we just watched? Who's this guy? I'm not saying that it's wrong to like I don't know, to just rain advice if you're not, but you should be at an altitude where people can equally
qualified.
recognize that, like, yeah, you're qualified and you're worthy of speaking on this subject. You know, this dude, like, he's got his AirPods in, and he's got like
he doesn't even have AirPods
or whatever. Yeah, he's got wired shit, and he's got like,
like you're just gonna start coming at
and
this
he's got
guy.
like who is this dude? He's got like no haircut. He's shooting on. It's like I'm watching Minecraft or something. He's got like all pixelated ass image.
I don't know who he is, to be honest. I feel like I've seen his face. I think he does like I think he does like content that's like revolves around like investing and stuff. But I could be completely wrong. I just feel like I've seen him do
Who
that.
knows? I'm just being a dick. But I mean,
But no, his haircut
got
is
some good
bad.
points.
Like, let's not lie. He has a bad haircut right now.
That guy
looks
needs a
terrible.
lining.
he's got like $5 headphones, and he's like, listen, this is the key to like my life. This is how to be the successful dude, and like this is what women should do.
Yeah.
So it's a big power grab for a lot of these people too. Like
Yeah.
that attention, that power, those followers, like
Yeah.
that gives them more money.
Yeah, it's a money grab.
So-
It's not even, they're not even getting any power over people because, like, I think this kind of content is almost like eating candy. It's like, you know, you see some of it, you just go like, okay, well, you know, I probably should stop jerking off, and then you just watch some more porn.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, why all this whole thing about not jerking off came into play like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like I started seeing people, don't jerk off, it's bad for you. Like I think it's jerking off is bad, but you know what else is bad is just having sex. So imagine instead of jerking off, instead of jerking off, you just hook up with a chick.
Yeah, you're just like a crazy
And
sex
you
fanatic.
exactly, and you just bang chicks, and like at the end of the day, the thing is still the same. You're
Exactly.
ejaculating, but instead of doing it into your hand and getting it over with real quick, doing it into your, and you know, instead of doing it onto your belly button real quick, you know, you do it to another person, and then now like there's a whole like, you know, I gotta hang out with her for a bit, and then she's gotta go.
Now I gotta talk to her.
Right. It's like this is like if you have to just get it done, then just get it done, so you can go on to the next thing you got to do.
Yeah.
You know,
they're just stating actions like,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, I'm
don't
a
do
jerk-
this, don't do this, don't do this. They're not saying the reasoning behind it.
yeah. What they should say is, listen, just jerk off real quick, and then go do what you gotta do.
and that's how it used to be. They literally
Yeah.
used to say
Just
that.
get it done.
Yeah,
Steve's like, that's how I
just
used
get
to
all,
do.
get the
Yeah.
stress out and get what you need to done. You know what? I think there are situations where it's like sometimes just like rubbing one out is more beneficial than like, you know,
Yeah.
Especially if it's like, especially if it's like you're just pulling a girl that you don't even really like that much, and it's like, you know, just to get it over with. I'm like, I mean, you know, there's a lot of investment going into that. You might as well just rub one out,
Right.
If like that's the case.
So, because like all that energy, it's not going like you know, the energy in the universe. You can't just get rid of it or destroy it or create it out of nowhere. You have to transfer it somewhere.
Yeah.
So you got all this pent up energy inside you. You got to release it.
Scientific.
It's got to go somewhere. So
Conservation
either
of energy.
you get it out and it goes down the shower drain real quick, or you spend time and energy doing it to another person, and then that takes like actual real time.
Well, they would say the people that are like in self improvement, they would say like you should take all that nut energy
Yeah.
Oh, right,
and put
right.
it into something. You
Oh,
should,
yeah,
like,
that's
Put
right.
it into
Yeah.
your business or.
What am I gonna do? Just never jerk off? That's impossible. It's crazy talk. Right? what the hell is that?
Insane.
What kind of advice is that?
I think the idea is well, I hope the idea behind it is like I think they say that because it's like basically an extreme proposal that basically no matter how, as long as you're going towards it, you're gonna be all right. So maybe it's like they're not asking you to like absolutely never jerk off. I think the idea is like if you live by the idea that I shouldn't jerk off, then you'll never end up making it a habit. You know, it's
suppose.
kind of like you know, any type of drug. It's like marijuana's probably not the worst thing, but like if you don't tell people to like minimize your use of it, it might become a habit very easily. So I think the idea is just more we're gonna give you the extreme idea and hope you land somewhere near the end of that.
Hold on, what were you saying? I wasn't listening. I was too busy jerking off. What were you saying? No.
Yeah, I think with the jerking off thing, it's like the dopamine as well. Like they're probably encouraging not to jerk off because it's like, well, you get that huge burst of dopamine from basically laying in bed and
Yeah.
watching someone else have sex.
Yeah.
So it's like it removes your own motivation to
But
do things.
I also believe that when you don't jerk off and when you don't release that energy enough, then it's pent up and then it's released in unhealthy ways. Like you dress up like a fucking dog, and you rally outside a train station in Berlin and woof. And then you hope to try to get some pussy after that.
Yeah, that's
Like
definitely one of those situations where I'm like, you dude, just go home and jerk off. You don't need to.
Yeah,
you don't need to be out here in
let's
dogs.
go home and bust a nut.
You don't need to be
You
out here.
know, it was either Thomas Jefferson or Ben Franklin. They wrote something down, and it was like
It was about jerking off.
Yeah, so it was like whenever you have a big decision. I'm gonna look right in the camera when I say this. Whenever you have a big decision in life to make, you jerk off, and then after you nut, you count to
Post more
100.
clarity.
Right, and then at 100 seconds after you nut, if it still sounds like a good idea, then go ahead and do it. And if it's not, then it's like, all right, well, then I guess jerk off again. I guess I don't know.
Actually, what's
go back to
crazy
jerking
is
off.
I don't know where, but I have heard that before.
That's how
Yeah.
the Constitution
Yeah.
was born.
Right, that's the Constitution. Right. It's like, is this a good idea? And they did the jerk test.
for every
like-
every one of the amendments, they did the test.
That's why they call them the founding fathers.
The founding technique. Yeah, the founding technique.
Oh man, that's good. Man, so let's go back. To this. So basically, I was gonna ask next, since we kind of delineated the difference between like the female advice. Do you guys think like the female structure of how they tend to do self improvement? Do you think it's good, or do you think it's
horrible.
more detrimental? Than,
horrible.
like versus
Trash.
the males. Trash.
You can't advocate for somebody to not change
Okay.
because there's a ton of behaviors that people have that are just inherently bad. So it's like change is not a bad thing. Change is also part of like improvement. It's just a different kind of form of it. So,
No, I agree.
I think for a woman, like the truth of just humanity and just the way our species has survived over billions of years is just like the very fundamental idea that, you know, I had to put a penis in a biological female, and she's got to give birth to kids, and like that's, you know, the role of a woman on Earth is to eventually one day be a mother. And I think out of all the things you can do in life, I feel like the one thing we know for sure about whatever life's purposes might be, one of them for sure is just to reproduce and have a kid.
True.
That's like for sure. We know that for sure. So like that should be included in the whatever the game plan is.
Yeah, but that's like very adverse to like the current like meta culture.
It's crazy.
It's like, you know, you shouldn't have kids. You should have a job. I mean, I think it's all just like based on like materialism and consumerism. It's like it seems like the powers that be, they just want women to not have families and spend all their money and die.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly.
True. Yeah, I think it's a very. I think we've all come to this thing in society where things have become very individualistic. You know, because life has gotten harder, more expectations have piled up, and the idea that people kind of come away with is like, you know, I feel like people I feel like I'm losing my connection with my wife. My kids don't like me. I hate my job. My boss sucks. You know, it's like all those things pile on, and then you just kind of get to this idea like, you know, maybe I got to be more self-invested. Like I got to watch out for number one. And I think people lose the idea that like we're social creatures, and when you start to believe that like everything you have to do alone, I think that's that's when you start falling into that pit, that darkness that's not gonna like, you know, make your life any better, because we survived this long by being social, and when we start losing that, I think that's when we start to actually die as a species. So we got to maintain that idea that like, you know, hey, we need to help each other out. You need to reach out to people. You need to talk to someone, you know, and you need to have a desire to build relationships and have a family like that. I think it's the most important thing.
I wish that self-improvement culture was like that.
Yeah, it's
it is
not.
in
It's
some
very
circles,
individualistic now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the mainstream though. But if
feel
you
like
look in the right area, you can find it.
It's kind of like, I mean, the people just like, I think the old-fashioned way was people would just lead by example. You know, like
Yeah, role models and such.
our grandparents who had like 12 kids or whatever, they didn't listen to YouTube videos of how to act.
Exactly.
They just looked at the people that came before them and said, oh, they had hard lives, but there was purpose in that hardness. You know what I mean? Like that was the purpose was to show up and do the hard thing and like live this life and make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just have a bunch of kids and be in service to those kids. Make sure they're all you raise them to the age where they can take care of themselves. Then you can fuck off and die and do whatever you want after that.
Right. But then the internet comes along,
Right.
and it, you know, introduces connectivity like never seen before, where you're constantly exposed to several opinions, and you have instant access to other people's opinions. So it's like you have comparisons, you have, you know,
Start comparing yourself.
you have
to
a lot of
others.
things running in your head. So I guess this type of thing is medicine for some people.
I heard a funny phrase, interesting phrase the other day. It was like, get what you can what you get, and poison the rest. You know? So I think that applies. It's like people just like, they get whatever, you know, likes or fame or money they can from just making bullshit self-improvement content. Then they keep all of that, and then they make sure that no one else can make anything better, you know? Or anything, or they like, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like that related.
Yeah, I mean, well, since we're on the topic, there is a video that we have that says, "Is self-improvement content actually ruining your life?" So I think that kind of talks about the cons that go with like certain self-improvement content, and just how like if it's actually genuine, or are there like things about it now, especially in the modern age, that actually aren't conducive to a good life.
Self-development is ruining your life. A lot of self-improvement content will tell you the supposed framework to being successful. But what if I told you it just wasn't the framework that really matters? Sure, for some people, reading 5 books a month helps. For others, waking up at 5 a.m. is the key to their life. But just because it works for someone else doesn't mean that it may work for you. Of course, taking care of your physical and mental health is very important. Learning and reading is really important too. Self-improvement will give you tips, habits, and steps that will improve your life, but you need to understand what will fit into your lifestyle the best. In this life, there really isn't any type of shortcut. You have to experience to grow, and that growth will bring you the success that you've always wanted. The big thing though is just be patient, don't be too hard on yourself, and know that everyone's habit is a little bit different, so customize it to your own needs. Self-development.
That video speaks a lot to me because I've met a lot of people, especially in like the Black community, where it's like they start getting exposed to the self-improvement stuff, and then they think they like make a bunch of Facebook posts. I was this guy at a point, but they like make
hustle how to,
yeah, the hustle how to, yeah. But they make a bunch of different Facebook posts. And they talk about it all the time. They're like, I'm a free thinker, I'm a entrepreneur, but they don't actually like do anything. Like they don't ever actually take the steps forward to actually build something or become something or learn something. It's mostly just about, I saw a bunch of content and now I'm trying to emulate that content,
right?
But I don't have the willpower and I'm afraid to actually go out and do what the content was telling me to do.
True. Yeah. What I got from that is that I think the aspect that gets people caught up in doing things that aren't necessarily beneficial to them is that a lot of self-improvement content is very vague a lot of times. Like like a lot of times it's just like stuff that
very, very general.
Yeah, it's very general. It's like wake up at 5 a.m. like you said, or start working out more. But it doesn't like go into details like, okay, what kind of workout should I do? What kind of diet should I be on? Like you're saying, wake up at 5 a.m., but I don't actually have to start work. I do a night shift. So it's like stuff that's like people they give you very generalized information that may not apply to everyone. So it's not going to necessarily improve your life. Even in the situation where like they say the whole like don't jerk off. There's people that like probably get genuine stress relief from doing that to be able to actually operate better than just kind of holding it in. So it's like maybe that would be good advice for the general public, but it's not going to work the same way for everybody. And I think that's where self-improvement could be detrimental. I think you got to think in the mind of self-improvement being more like a grocery store of like taking what you need and leaving the stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I think you just want to keep jerking off.
No, to me, it's like, as a personal trainer, right, you don't tell somebody that's, overweight or something that they need to, or you don't tell somebody that's underweight. Let's say you tell them to fast. Like, that doesn't work. You can't tell them, okay, you weigh 160 pounds, you should be fasting 7 days a week or something like that. That doesn't physically work for them. And it's the same thing with, like, a doctor. You don't prescribe medicine for somebody that isn't sick. You don't prescribe the wrong medicine for a wrong condition. Everything is based on what it's based on.
Unless
That's
you're
why you have personal
doctor.
trainers. It's personal. It's for you. For you personally.
It's case by case. But that's the thing. Like, we're talking about this guy's making a video that says self-development is ruining your life, but this is also a self-development fucking video. He's just trying to go meta. He's poisoning the well. And saying, don't listen to me. Everyone else's shit is bullshit.
He's trying to grab that power.
And I don't trust. He's Asian. I don't trust him. He's a sneaky little Asian dude. I can say that.
That's just funny. I used to run a blog, and I remember I wrote a blog thing because I used to like do reviews on it, and I wrote a thing called "Why You Shouldn't Trust Movie Critics." But it was like ironic that I would write that when I think back, because I'm saying don't trust movie critics, but then I also critique movies. So it's like,
trust me, don't trust these.
Yeah, don't trust
critics.
them, but you can trust me though. I'm a good guy.
Yeah, gaming the system here.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But I think that's kind of the thing. I think people can easily get wrapped up in self-improvement, and I think it's like innately self-improvement is like it's very individualistic. It's got self in the name. So I think as long as you can focus on doing the things that's good without isolating other parts of your life that are also important, because I think people can get so involved in like trying to focus solely on themselves that they lose contact with people. They stop like having a social life. I don't think it should like isolate those aspects. I think those are just as important.
I agree.
I feel like there's like, so with self-improvement, there's like a cheesy way, and then there's like because it's like, so here's this guy's like he works out, like he's kind of yoked, he had some muscles, right, and like he's got good production quality, and he's clean and stuff like that, and it's like,
damn, Chris, why just marry him?
He's clean. He's 6 foot tall.
it's getting hard just talking about this dude, but no, but it's just like, I mean, I don't want to dog on self improvement, but it's kind of like you have to, I guess you got to start somewhere, so like. He's like, if you want to be in service, if you truly want to help other people, you got to start somewhere. Even if you're not like physically perfect or you're not like where you want to be financially, like you can get good advice from some wrong people sometimes. That happens. But boy, it's just so much more effective when the dude just got his shit together and he's just like ripped and jacked and he's telling you about nutrition or he's telling you about the diet or like how to get. If a guy's rich and he's like, this is what you got to do. You got to do this, you know. Like I love listening to like what it's like these are like the millionaire mindset things, or like these are what successful people in the past have done, and like all these business owners or all these entrepreneurs in the past, this is what worked for them. These are their habits, you know.
True. Yeah, you gotta look the part. I think that.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta live the part.
Right.
Yeah,
look and live the part. Like if you're making this content, I feel like you gotta. It's entertainment ultimately at the end of the day. So you have to play the role of that. True. And you have to look the part too.
Yeah, Steve, would you listen to a preacher that doesn't pray?
No, definitely not.
I think that's a
inshallah.
That's a good example.
Well, the last part of this, we have a video that basically just talks about like there's a lot of self-help content. Here's Andrew Tate's opinion on like self-help books. You know, he's a big figure and he's talking about the idea of self-help. So a little bonus part of this before we break off and start talking about if we've had our own personal experiences with self-improvement.
From the top G.
Go ahead.
The thing is, reading a book is it's a reward without any risk. And this is why I think a lot of people are proponents of reading, and they say reading, because nothing can really go wrong besides wasting your time in life, of course, but they don't believe that. So if you want to learn about self-help, if you want to understand yourself and see what kind of man you really are and learn how to fight through adversity and learn how to get up when life's difficult and learn how to control your mind and learn how to struggle, then you can go to the boxing gym and you can get your ass kicked. You do not need to read any books, but most people are not man enough for that. So instead they'll read a self-help book and they'll sit there and try and talk to me about mindset. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. Reality is always gonna be a better teacher than a book because you're not learning when you read books. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. Well, the thing is with reading a book.
Go ahead, like that. Go ahead and hit that like button. That was great.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
No, I
agree.
I agree a lot. I think what's important about that statement is I heard there's a thing where it's like if and it's a quote I probably like throw around a lot now myself, but it's like don't tell someone what you're gonna do, tell them what you did. Which
I like that.
I think that's important because when a lot of times people get the same dopamine hit by going out and telling people like, hey, I'm about to do something, and they'll feel, and it gives you like the same hit of like accomplishment as if you've actually done it, and that'll cause a lot of people to not do it. I think that's like the foundation for a lot of procrastination, where it's like you'll tell a bunch of people like, yeah, I'm going to work on this tonight, and you never do it. And but you feel satisfied that like you had the thought. So I think it's important that like rather than reading a self-help book, a lot of learning comes from experience, and so I think. This whole message is like, you can sit here and satisfy your own psyche by giving yourself a bunch of good words, but you're gonna like improve like dramatically more if you just go outside and the second you think like I should do something, then go do it, and then however that result is, you'll have learned a lot more than if you just sat there and read a book on it or listened to a motivational quote and said, yeah, that sounds great, and then went back to watching TV.
Oh, that would be nice. I think.
Go way back down.
Yeah. Dick in hand the whole time.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think there's actually a parallel there, like in terms of like for if you're trying to change your life, for example, like for me, the best, some people call the Bible a self-help book, right? I obviously don't, subscribe to that belief, but if you take something like a self-help book and you actually start applying it in your life, then it actually makes sense to have that book available. But if you're just going to read it and then do nothing, then there's no point of reading the book. Right. And I think it's the same thing with like a Bible or any religious text. If you're going to take the book that you're reading and actually apply it, like, love thy neighbor. If you read that and then you go out and you're like, spitting on people or whatever, like you're going to that pup play,
starting fights
convention.
at McDonald's.
Yeah, you're at McDonald's yelling at people. And you're just a whole piece of shit. You're just a bad guy. Then it's like, what was the point of reading it? You know,
Yeah.
like maybe you can make an argument where it's like, you know, maybe you read it so that you can put it into place later. But I feel like I'm not the only one when I say, like, you know, when I read something, it's not like I just remember every word of the whole book. So it's like if you're not applying it as you go, it's not going to become that muscle memory.
True.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyone else got any?
What I'll also say is like there's monetary gain to be had in self-help, and I think people have identified this now because you can't measure self-improvement, right?
True.
People are always continuously on a path to get better and better and better. You can't, so people will come back and constantly consume your content and constantly invest in their time and energy into listening to you or like buying your products or whatever. And I feel like a lot of people are taking advantage of that now, or they're seeing that as let's get in this and, you know, make some money off it. And they're just going to recycle ideas from the past. Like a lot of Andrew Tate stuff, he's great, but he recycles a lot of stuff from Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor that existed at like 180 AD. You know what I mean? Like these are ideas of just like controlling your emotions and just showing up and doing the hard thing and waking up early and just, you know, getting their day started. You know, just basically just showing up and just being the fucking man, right? And just owning your shit.
I agree.
Yeah. But they're just recycling it, and you know they dress up and they have Lamborghinis behind them and they just recycle that same idea.
But he's like
But
a
it's
Roman
effective.
emperor.
It's effective. Roman emperors are fucking sick. So
Yeah, I think that is the scummy part about the whole thing, though. Is that, like you said, self improvement is a journey without a destination. So you can just kind of keep on pumping out. Like you're gonna center your life around that content. I think that's why life coaches will always have a job, because you know there's always gonna be people that aren't where they want to be and will never get there. But you can always, but you know, then you can be the force that like tags along with them for the ride. And a lot of people use that to either milk, you know, people in a bad state, desperate people who feel unfulfilled, and you know, kind of fill in a void. Kind of like, you know, constantly feeding like a squirrel, like a nut. You know, you're just kind of giving them something every day until they die, and then you move on to the next squirrel. Like, so there's definitely that aspect, but I don't think it's inherently bad. It's just kind of one of those things that you know exist, and that if you're smart and apply yourself as a person, you're gonna understand your needs and only work towards those. You're not gonna get caught up in the rat race, and then eventually, you know, you're just in a system where you're not like actually improving. You're just listening to a lot of self-improvement stuff.
Right, consuming just
Just a
bunch of
consumer.
random stuff.
Yeah.
Non-stop consumption. But yeah. So we want to close up.
I think for the most part. So that kind of goes over the whole totality of the self-improvement guy and the self-improvement content. Tell us what you guys think if you leave in the comments. If you have any personal improvement stories you want to share, if you think self-improvement content is good or bad, please let us know. But other than that, I think we pretty much wrapped up the whole thing, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little trilogy of the red pill archetype guy.
So first we had the red pill to religion pipeline, then we had passport bros, and this last section has been the Miami guy and the self-improvement guy. Well, self-improvement guy and pickup artist.
Yep.
So make sure you go back and check those videos out. Once again, you can follow us all at The Cold Popcast. Also, you can check out Chris Ralpheisen on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Where can they find you?
Bangkok Comic on Instagram and at YouTube at House of Chris.
House of Chris.
I make like history related and stand up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So also follow us on all platforms: YouTube, audio platforms, Patreon. $5 a month gets you the entire backlog of My Black Friends podcast and any exclusive content we make in the future. Thanks again for popping in. We gotta pop out of here.
All right. Peace.